Shure SM7B. Could this be the greatest microphone of all time? You'll find this beauty dangling from broadcast boom arms and voiceover, ADR radio, and podcast studios all around the world. From Charlie Puth to Michael Jackson, all forms of talent have used this microphone. There are two settings that let you tailor the SM7B to a wide range of voices and applications. Whether you want to bring out the resonance of a deep baritone or tame the brittleness of a high soprano, capture a whisper, or record a gunshot, the SM7B is a must-have part of your rig. Shure SM7B has a cardioid pickup pattern and a frequency response of 50 Hz to 20 kHz. It has an output impedance of 150 ohms and weighs in at about 1.69 pounds. Now inside the box you'll receive the microphone itself, obviously. You're also going to receive a beefier windscreen, this one made for more broadcasting styles, or if you have a maybe a more plosive style of speaking. You'll also get Velcro to stick that windscreen to the microphone. Now I prefer just using the windscreen that comes with and on the microphone. It looks better, and I also think it's not necessary for my application use. Now in the box you're also going to receive a switch plate cover. That is this thing right here. That is going to cover the switches on the back of the microphone if you don't want them visible during your broadcast or podcast. Broadcast or podcast, that's a new thing. I covered mine. I don't have any of the switches activated either. Now, the thing about the Shure SM7B is it's a dynamic microphone, and for those of you who maybe not be into audio or know as much about audio, but a dynamic microphone is typically more of a gain-hungry microphone, meaning that it doesn't put out as much gain as, like, let's say an AT2020 would. It really just depends on your application use, but there's a couple ways you can go about this. Now, if you're like me in a desktop application, you may be using something like a Focusrite Scarlett. This is the Focusrite Scarlett Solo. Now, something like this, you may need to crank your gain all the way up in order to get the right output that you're looking for in this microphone. Now, the thing about that is when you crank that gain all the way up, you're going to begin to get hiss, all that white noise, all the background noise, because your gain is higher, so you're going to be getting all those little different sounds that you don't typically get in a microphone like an AT2020 where the gain doesn't need to be as high. So now when you run into something like that, you're going to get something that is a CloudLifter or a FET head or any sort of inline microphone preamp that will add gain to your microphone before it even reaches your interface. So right now I'm not recording into the Scarlett, so I'm recording into my mixer. I'm still recording into my CloudLifter though. So what does that mean is from the microphone, it is plugged into the CloudLifter, and then the CloudLifter is plugged into the input in the microphone. It's called an inline preamp for that reason, because it's in line of the microphone. It's in that line of cables before it even reaches your interface, and that is going to add 25 decibels of ultra clean gain before it even gets there, so your gain doesn't need to be as high. Now, as of right now, my gain is set about 5 o'clock. Now, typically, or about 85%. Now, typically you would see it at 100% without a FET head or a CloudLifter. Now, with that out of the way, there's a couple different ways you can mount this microphone. So you can mount it in this style I have here, in sort of this desktop style. So a desktop stand onto the desk, and just like this. Now, this isn't on a desktop stand. It is on a Rode PSA 1 Plus, which I will be doing another video about soon. But this allows you to put it off to the side, you can stand up, raise it up, move it back, whatever you need it to do. I prefer using a boom arm for most applications of microphones. It just seems easier and it's just better, all around better. Now you can also, like I said, mount it to a tabletop. You can also swing this upside down, so that way it's kind of dangling instead of standing up. Now one of the things that I had to do, and one of the things that most people who have these, sorry about that, one of the many things people have to do with this type of microphone, and because of its location of XLR, is you have to buy the Shure adapter. This microphone cable, dang it. This is going to add 3 inches to your microphone. So instead of this being all the way down here and all of that stuff, it adds this little extension, which I find easy, so I bought one. I bought a cheaper version on Amazon that was far cheaper. And it was just easier to get that one. Now on the back of this, there are 2 switches. There is a presence boost and a bass roll off. Now on the back of my microphone, I do have the switch plate cover on, but I don't have any of the switches engaged. I kind of feel though the sound that you're getting with the switches off more fits what I'm trying to go for. Now with the presence boost on the back, it's just going to boost to the mid-range frequencies to make the sounds of voices and instruments similar to tones seem more present. So as it says presence boost, it just makes it seem more present, so it's going to boost some of those mid-range frequencies. Now the bass roll-off is going to remove the bass or low frequencies. Now that to me does not seem necessary for this application, because broadcasting voiceover application, you want those bassier sounds. Now some people for recording instrumentation, or this is a good, a lot of people use this for like a kick drum on a drum kit. So sometimes it's just whatever you want. I don't have any of those switched on. I find it gives better sound with them off. Now the cool thing about this microphone is it does include an internal air suspension shock mount isolation system. Yeah. So what that means is inside under the windscreen in the metal grate, there is a it's really hard to explain, air suspension shock mount. So it's suspending the capsule in a way where it's going to eliminate a lot of the bouncier sounds. In terms of, you're going to be able to hear it, but you're not going to be able to feel it necessarily. You're not going to be able to, it's really hard to explain. But it's just an internal shock mount system that prevents bangs, boops, whatever, all those different things in the microphone. But one of the things that turn many people away from this microphone is the price tag of $399. That is a $400 microphone compared to something like the SM48, which is only $40 on sale, the AT2020, which is only $100. So this, you're really paying for quality here. It sounds amazing, the build quality is amazing, and overall it's just a really good microphone. Like I said in the intro, Charlie Puth has used this microphone, Michael Jackson recorded Thriller on this microphone, as I've said many times before. It's a very famous, a very, very legendary vocal microphone, and that is why I'm making this video, because I want to kind of compare it to other microphones to see if maybe the sound you're trying to capture is not needed by wasting or spending $400 on this microphone. So that's kind of the basis overall overview of the SM7B. It's a really nice microphone. The thing that sucks though is you're going to have to spend the extra $100-200 on something like a CloudLifter or Fathead inline amplifier to add some gain to this, because it's a gain hungry dynamic microphone. And as we're about to see, we're about to do a versus, and we're going to show you the differences in a couple different microphones. I'm sure you're going to love it. Right now we are going to do the mic battle. And welcome to the Battle Zone, folks. Today, 4 legendary microphones are going to be competing against the Shure SM7B to find out which one is truly the best. And do you need to spend $400 on this to get the audio you need? Let's find out. And for round 1, up to the deck is Shure Super 55, the most beautiful microphone I've ever owned. It truly is. It is a gorgeous microphone. This is an Elvis microphone, of course. Why else wouldn't I own it? This is a super cardioid dynamic microphone, so it is going to be slightly gain hungry, but is a super cardioid. We're also going to be testing the off-axis rejection of this as well, of all of these microphones we're testing today. So with the Shure SM7B, you can see as the microphone rotates, my voice slowly gets quieter, quieter, and quieter as it gets to the back. And that is the idea of this microphone. It's a hitch gibbet, guys. Anyway, so we're going to be switching to the Super 55. Actually, you can still hear me. And just like that, we are now on the Shure Super 55. Very loud. Anyway, that's the beauty of this mixer over here, is I just got to flip a mute button. Hey, you can't hear me here anymore, but you can hear me here. So, the Shure Super 55. This is a dynamic super cardioid microphone. Beautiful looking microphone. Of course, who wouldn't have this microphone? You see it like this sometimes. And now into the ring. A hitch gibbet, you know. But anyway. This is a really nice microphone. Here's some off-axis rejection. You guys can see as we get to the back of the microphone, it's quiet, and back around, and now you're here. Alright, so this is, it's a decent microphone. It's a vocal microphone. It is just like the SM7B. It is designed for vocals. Alright, so the Shure Super 55 will run you about $250 on Shure.com. Decently cheaper than the SM7B, but still a little bit a little bit less pricey. So this is the Shure Super 55, beautiful sounding microphone. You can really hear the highs in this microphone. It's got some highs, but there's very little bassiness to it. So if I crank the lows here on my mixer, you can see we're adding in lows. This is kind of achieving more of a Super 50 or the SM7B sound. So you can kind of hear the bassiness of this microphone now as I crank it back to where it was. So it's kind of like it seems very two-dimensional in its sound, but yeah, pretty good. All right, back to the SM7B. And here we are, back to the SM7B. All right, so that was the Shure Super 55. Very beautiful microphone. So you could really tell there's a big difference in those microphones. Now on to the next mic. And for round 2, up to the gate, the SM48. I did not intend to do that. That just happened. SM48. This has also been featured in all 3. Nope, I take that back. In Tyler's Rockin' Christmas Show and Tyler and Mason's Holly Jolly Jubilee. This is Mason's microphone. I've got 2 of these. We used to podcast with these. They're good microphones. Do they contend to the SM7B? I keep getting all these names messed up. It is funny how we're talking about the SM7B, which is a Shure microphone, and I'm wearing a Rode t-shirt. Don't mind that. The SM48, very, very, very different in price. From $400 to $34 on sale right now. You can get this at B&H Photo on sale for $34.99 or on Shure's website for $69. So, huge difference, but here we go. In 3, 2, 1, now you're listening to the Shure SM48 as I adjust all these things because they're very, very different. So you can see it sounds really good. It's decent. This is also a dynamic microphone, but this is a cardioid microphone. Most vocal microphones are that way, so no matter which way I rotate it on the top or on the sides, you can hear it's this very similar sound. The pickup, it's directly into the front here, just like this. If you turn it this way, you can see it doesn't pick it up as much all the way around. But if you turn it this way and you turn it, nothing's going to change no matter which way you turn it. That's why it gets that cardioid name. Dynamic. Also gain hungry. All of the microphones we're testing today are dynamic mics except for one, and that's our next mic after this one. But you can really hear this one's it's got some decent lows. I would say it's very well balanced. I think it's a good microphone. It's a good budget microphone if you need one. And overall, I would say this is a good microphone if you need a good vocal or recording microphone. We have a microphone that I always only used until I got this microphone for podcasting, voiceover. We recorded all of our Channel 17 voiceovers on it, and that is the Audio-Technica AT2020. This is the only condenser microphone on our list today. This is a cardioid, again, a cardioid pickup pattern and condenser microphone. As we switch to the AT2020. Goodbye on the SM7B, and hello, the AT20. Holy crap. Maybe it's not so gain hungry. AT2020. So, this is a cardioid microphone. Holy crap. That's one thing I forgot to check on all these microphones is plosives. But as you can see, you need a windscreen. Peter Piper picked a podcast. Very, very strong plosives. It's a very see-through microphone. So if you're worried about I don't really know if there's any internal windscreen or not. But this is why it's a cardioid, because as you turn, you can see you go off axis. You cannot be heard from the back side very well, but you can be from the front, or you can be heard from the top. So the front or the top, either way. But you don't see it like this commonly. You see it like this because it's got the better sound, but like this, so you can hitch skip it this way, that way, all around this front. Yeah. It's a very good microphone. I used it. Mason used it in the Christmas comeback show, and the very first one, this was his microphone. It's very nice. It's very similar to the SM7B. It's got those lows. It's got the highs. It's got a lot of high in it. If I turn those down, though, you see now I've turned the highs down. It's got this more deeper sound to it, but we can crank the highs all the way, and it sounds like you're in a 2000s podcast. And then like this is kind of how I would have it. Very bassy, low, it's got a little bit of highs in there, but it's not overwhelming. But I think the sound's decent. It's a nice microphone. It runs about $100. You can get it on Amazon for 99 bucks, or on B&H Photo right now for 88 bucks, usually 99. They have it on sale, so pick it up. If you don't want, this is the only other option I would say, unless you get the SM7B. Now, here's the thing. The pod mic is a $100 microphone, very similar to this one. That's also very nice. So the pod mic is good for 100 bucks. This is good for 100 bucks. You can get a Yeti for 100 bucks, I think, or 115, and a Snowball, the Yeti, the blue Snowball. But yeah, this mic's great. I would give it. And now we're back on the SM7B. Okay, so there's a few things I kept forgetting to mention. Anything that, and you've already seen it, obviously, as you've been watching the video, but anything that if I do any post-processing to any of these microphones, you see the graphic that's down at the bottom, that is going, you see it says post-processing, that will show everything that I'm doing to those microphones. Now, this is always going to be plugged into the CloudLifter, so I'm not going to put that there, but if I lower it, or if I lower the gain or raise the gain or do any sort of thing like that, you can see what I do in the post-processing, just so you know if it sounds that way. You don't think it sounds a certain way, and then you buy it and it doesn't sound that way, but it only sounds that way because I did editing to it. You get the idea. That's why that's there. Anyway, so we've got one more microphone. This is a dynamic omnidirectional microphone. And for our final microphone mashup battle, the Rode Reporter, with the beautiful Channel 17 News mic flag on it. The Rode Reporter, omnidirectional dynamic microphone. The difference is big. Here we go. And reporting live, it's Jibble. I gotta crank the crap out of this thing because it is a dynamic gain hungry microphone. But you can see that there's a huge difference. It's very two-dimensional. It's very high. There's very little bass to it. If you crank the lows, it still barely does anything. I do think it sounds better though, cranking the lows. If I turn the lows back, you can see it sounds more like this, or off, it sounds really like this. So this is how it sounds out of package. And if I crank the low on my mixer, it sounds better. This sounds like something you could podcast with, just like David Dobrik does on Views. Now this microphone is 129 bucks. So overall, cranking the lows back so you can actually hear the actual sound of this microphone. If I had anything to say about this would probably be the last microphone I would buy if you're looking for something like the SM7B. If you're looking for a similar look and sound of the SM7B, this is the very last microphone I would get. I just decided to use this one because, one, I really didn't have any other microphones, even though I have a lot of microphones. But I just assumed that this would be the farthest away from this, just for fun and just to see what it sounded like. Now back to the SM7B. So there's huge differences between these microphones. But yeah, this one's really nice. It looks good with the mic flag on it. It's going to be used for Channel 17 News and other things, but that's what I got the mic flag for. But it looks good. And then you can throw this huge thing on top. Ladies and gentlemen, just kidding. So those are the 4 microphones we're battling against. I have more microphones in my little case in here, but not really any that I would have battled against. So that is the conclusion of the mic battle. Alright, so in conclusion of the microphone battle, what did we learn? So one of the things that I would say is ordering these from least to best. This was the worst compared to the SM7B. It just didn't have the lows that it needed in order to really compete against the mic. I don't think it had the sound that it needed. In second place from that, I would probably have to say in third place. So in fourth place is the Reporter. In third place, I would have to say is the SM48 because it's dynamic, but it just doesn't give the in-studio sound. So I'd have to say this is in third place. In second place, I would have to give to the Super 55. Yes, it would be in first place in terms of looks, but in terms of sound, I would have to say that this is second place. I don't think it has the bassiness it needs, but it's still a really great microphone, and I strongly recommend it. But in first place, I would have to give it to the AT2020 because it gives the same condenser sound. It just sounds I don't know. I would say it's the best compared to this microphone. In terms of overall sound, I would have to say that the AT2020 is the best. And I'll link all 5 of these microphones in the description. This is the 57, the SM7B, the Reporter, AT2020, SM48, and the Super 55. I'll link them all in the description so you can check those out for yourselves, so you can purchase them. Also, I will link the PSA 1 Plus in the description as well. That's what I use to boom this thing. That's what I've always used to boom the thing. But yeah, so that is my review of the that is the mic battle portion. Overall, as the intro, title, thumbnail states, is this the world's greatest dynamic vocal microphone? I would say yes, and a lot of people would too. Bandrew from Podcastage did many videos on this microphone. Again, considered one of the greatest. A lot of people love this microphone, and for good reason. It's just a really good microphone. It's really great. It sounds good. It looks good. It's highly used by many celebrities, recording artists. And with that, that is my review and comparison against 4 microphones of the Shure SM7B. Thank you for watching, everybody. This is the second edition of our every Friday posting schedule, so next week's video will be a podcast. The third video of every week will be a podcast, so the third Friday of every week will be a podcast. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you next Friday to continue our new upload schedule. Staying strong. We can do it. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you in another TylerTube production. Goodbye.